welcome everybody. Welcome to another Transition to Greatness show. I'm your host, Bruce Starr, and I'm thrilled today to have on a lady that I've known for a few years now, actually. You know, the way I first learned about her was I was hearing about this great work, this great healing work that this lady was doing, and I was hearing about it from several different people. And when I hear things like that, I want to check them out, maybe even try to get to know them, maybe even have them on a show. And the more I learned about Jen Ward, the more impressed I got about the way she heals and how she heals and why she heals and her story about her life. So I am really happy to have on with me today a lady that I've come to really like and respect over the years. Jen Ward, welcome to the show, Jen. So great to have you.
Hi, Bruce. It's nice to with you again. I've missed you.
Yes, we haven't done a show in a couple of years now,
Mm.
and it was so great to be able to get back together again with you. So listen, this I'm sure that most of the people that are watching this show don't know about you, don't know why we got in touch together, and why I was so impressed with your work. So let's do this. Let's start. I love hearing about people's stories almost right from the beginning when their
Mm.
life started uh, forming and taking place. So, if you don't mind, tell people what makes you so uh, different and unique, and how did you get to Jen Ward that we know today?
Well, I don't think of myself as different or unique. It's really funny. I just realized recently from a dear friend that I'm not mainstream. So I thought I was so good at blending and stuff, but um, I guess I've had a different life. Um, See, I don't like to tell the whole backstory. I just like to tell you what I do for other people.
Well, tell me a little bit that you don't have to go through too many details. That's not what this is about, but just a little bit of how you came to develop some of your cares, concerns, and talents that you have.
Well, I came into a big household. I was the youngest of 10, of very dysfunctional, very poor, um, alcoholic parents. And she never wanted children. She only wanted one. Her biggest fear was to go through childbirth. So basically, I was her worst nightmare when it um, came to like gestating and everything. Um, so so I came into a world where I wasn't wanted. I was dreaded and cursed and hated, and it was really interesting because I was such a calm child. And yeah, but anyways, but I didn't realize all the resistance that I was dealing with, how much I was resented, and the 9 siblings were all controlling. Um, just and so I grew up just this sucks. It just sucks. This isn't who I am. But it wasn't until I got much older and dealt with the resistance that I realized that I had special abilities. And what's interesting about me is that I was never given the love that other people might have been given. Usually there's one person that loves you in your life who can you hear all these success stories where there's just this one person who got me through and loved me through hard times. I never really had that. So I think the thing that makes me special is my capacity to love, even though it's nothing that I was ever shown. So I know a lot of people have hard times out there. And I think what tempers them is the hard times. So, so if I have any talents, which people say that I do, is it's just the ability to thrive and to that capacity to love beyond all that you're shown outwardly. And of course, there's a protocol that I developed to help everyone um, empower themselves to release all the trauma they've dealt with in their lives.
So let's start with that first time when you knew that you did have talents that maybe the girl next to you or the boy next to you didn't have. What was
Okay.
that like when you first realized, hey, they don't seem to be able to do what I can do?
Well, what happened was later, later in adulthood, I actually had the opportunity to go to massage school. And in massage school, which was really difficult to get to that point to be able to do that, we learned about different modalities besides just the Swedish and the sports massage. We also learned about cranial sacral and myofascial, which is muscle release, and um, energy movement through the meridians, through the channels of the body. And then I realized that when I did cranial sacral on a person, which is you hold the head and you can feel the timing mechanism in the body, or I can at least, it felt like a little roulette ball in their head. And I could feel the infinity symbol go back and forth in their head. And as I did that, I could feel it balance out, balance out, balance out, and then it expanded. And then it went through the body. And I realized that I couldn't actually move the energy. With my intentions to help this person, I could actually talk to that energy and say, okay, go on this way. And I could like move my head a little bit and it would move it into where the blockages were and open this person's energy up. It was really the first time that I experienced that. And then in massage therapy school, I started to be the one, you go through labs where you have to like do a ton of massages. The the faculty started to fight over me. They used to bump the senior person would bump the teachers to get the massage with me, and I ended up doing all the teachers and stuff because I heard what a good massage I gave, and so that was the beginning of it, and that started some confidence in it and what I do, and then I opened up this little practice in my apartment, and I found out more and more that people came to me for not physical ailments as much as sometimes spiritual stuff. And it was like I went there's this band Rush. I don't know if people know the Rush band. Well, I went to be this concert massage someone who does massages for people at the concerts, right? And so I went, I'm blind. I didn't know the other massage therapist. It was her gig. I just went along. And there would be a sheet between us. And we'd both be doing massages, random massages. People just come in, okay, I want a massage. Well, she's listening to things and she started to realize that I was different more than I did. So she'd come in and she'd just do the massage on people and that was fine. And then she was paying attention to people who would come to me and they innately knew I had something to offer because they would say, oh, I have this pain in my toe and I'm having this emotional issue with my whatever. And they'd come to me for emotional issues, and she would be more than doing her own work, would be listening in and how I was working with these people and giving them relief on these issues. So people were coming to find the healings like that under the guise of massage therapy. And so more and more it just went away from the massage therapy part and just into the energy part. I remember there was a turning point in an understanding of energy and how it moved and how it was correlated with physical pain. Is one day when I was just starting out with my little office, my little massage room in my apartment, this woman came to me. She couldn't even walk. She was like so laden with pain. She had fibromyalgia so bad she couldn't even get to the thing. You couldn't even get near her. She says, "Oh, don't touch me." Even if you stood near her, she says, "Don't touch me." I'm thinking, how am I supposed to give this woman a massage if I can't touch her? Because that's what she came for. Technically, was this massage. So I laid her down on the table. I was just looking at her, trying to figure out how do I help this woman. And then I started to see, I realized I could see people's experiences that they have experienced in my own psyche. Like it's almost like seeing your own a memory of your own self, but it's not your memory. So I'm sitting there and I just blurted out so nonchalant. I go, "You were gang raped in a past lifetime, and that's what's causing your pain."
Wow.
And she's looking at me and her eyes got huge like saucers, and she's sitting there horrified, horrified that I said that. And then I realized, oh, it wasn't a past lifetime, was it? It was this lifetime.
Whoa.
You never told anybody about it.
Whoa.
And so she's just looking at me horrified and doing nothing. And because of that, I started convulsing and crying and crying and crying and crying. And I couldn't stop. I was releasing this stored up emotional pain that was stored in her physical body. And so she actually sat up and started reaching out and hugging me and going, "It's okay, it's okay." But it was her pain. So this was her comforting herself with me in the middle of it. She was actually telling herself it was okay, but using my body because my body was the one expressing it for her.
Wow.
So after that hour, I had seen it. I saw the three guys, which was in high school, pin her into a bathroom. You know, she got up afterwards, zipped up her jeans, went home, and didn't tell anybody. Nobody knew about it. And today was the first day when we did the session that she got a release from all that trauma and a validation. And so we didn't say much, and she felt better, even though she was like a mess. Didn't hear from her for like 3 months, and then she called me for another massage. And so when she came back, she said that that was huge. The pain went down about 45 to 55%.
Wow.
So in her next session, what I did is I went around her body and I would put my hand on her thigh and start sobbing, sobbing, sobbing. That felt better. Put my hand on her back, her pelvis, anywhere they touched her or violated her, I would put my hands, cry, and then the pain would go away. And that was my work with her. And that was a breakthrough.
Wow. So what you took this information that you're learning about what you can do and how you can do it. What did you say to yourself then? Did you say, "Gee, I want to see if I can help more people," or how did this work for you?
Now, that's the thing about people out there with their own special gifts. It's so subtle. I don't think I was that special. You know what I mean? So I just knew that people were coming to me now to get help. And there were people who would go to this alternative healer and he would tell them stuff about their past lives and whatever. And every single one of them who came to me from him, and he was pretty accurate because he helped me balance out after my emotional trauma from my lifetime. So I knew he was really good and accurate. So when they came to me from him, I told them very similar things to what he said. And so it was validated. I didn't know what he told them. I had no, access to their background, past lives, whatever. And so over and over they would say, "You said exactly what Bill said." And so I know it's true and stuff. So that was a huge breakthrough for me to get a validation of how accurate I was and just telling them what was coming through intuitively. But no, see, my background of being abused my whole life, way into my adulthood, even during the adulthood, afforded me this lack of self-worth to such a degree that I felt so privileged to have someone just want to come see me. Wow, you want to be with me? Wow. That I wanted to do anything in my power because I was so grateful. And I'm so lonely in life. I was so grateful that they would take the time out of their pay for it, take the time out of their day and actually talk to me and even listen to me somewhat. So
Wow. So hopefully that was that building of your self-confidence. I know if you're down here and you start building your self-confidence, it's quite a trip, but it's a much needed and important trip. And I'm sure that's the way it was for you.
It's not like that. It's not like that. The part of the self that um ever the is, I don't come from ego like other people might. So it's not like I get off on helping people egotistically. It's like when I help people, it's I have this drive to help people, that's true. But there's not the payoff, there's not the ego payoff that others get. I'm just exhausted and I get the pain that they get. And I vow, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do this to myself ever again until I get the inner direction to do more. So that when you're doing it to the degree that you're doing your purpose, it's not an ego gratification, it's just what you do. This is how I contribute.
Well, that's a real healer for you. They're not coming from their ego, and that's when you have the best chance and opportunity to allow higher guidance and higher coaching to come in and
Yeah.
tell you what to do next. So, what was your life? Tell me about your life as you started doing more and more of this. Maybe at this point, if you want, you can show me and everybody that's watching this. Do you want to do a healing session? Is that something that you want to do? I remember we did it a couple of years ago, and it was quite interesting.
The important thing about what I do is I've learned to pay attention to the inner direction. You can call it your connecting with your own vortex if you're into Abraham Hicks, or you can um, your better angels or your spirit guides. So whatever it is, I tap into that part of me that knows more than myself, and I've learned to like pay attention to the very smallest degrees, like when to get up in the morning, what to do, who to talk to, what, and whatever's coming through, the more I listen to it, the more I get guidance, and the more I'm lazy, like I don't want to do that. I don't have to do that. Who cares? Who's listening? Who's paying attention? And just get lazy and just roll over and watch TV. Well, I'll get more TV then. It's There's a volume to what you're doing when you're learning to tap into working with those subtle energies, is how much you're willing to pay attention and how much you're willing to commit your physical self to those subtle energies. The more that you listen, the more that you pay attention, the more you'll get an understanding, and it'll get to the point where you can ascribe it to your parasympathetic nervous system. Do you know what that means?
Well, please explain it for.
Okay.
Uh, I might not
So
know it, and a lot of people might not know it.
I know. I went through massage therapy, so you had to know anatomy and physiology. So I draw on that a little bit, but it's like walking. Walking is automatic now, but when you were a baby, you had to learn to walk, and you had to spend hours and hours of falling and trying and getting up, and you had to learn to walk. So when you're learning to walk, it's a sympathetic action, meaning you have to try, you have to will your muscles, you have to tell them what to do. But at a certain point, when you do it enough and the body knows what you want to do, it'll do it automatic, like blinking and breathing and keeping you alive, all those things. So sometimes someone who is thought of as a dynamic healer, maybe like myself, is someone who's just went through the stages of pulling the stagnant energy out of the physical body so much. I mean, I've done it for, I guess you have to do something, what, 10,000 hours to like master it? Well, I've done what I do at least 10,000. I mean, 100,000. I don't know how many. But so what I do is it's automatic. It's like, and I can't turn it off because it's like you can't turn off breathing, you can't turn off blinking. So when people come to me and say, "Oh, can you find my lost cat?" I have this certain talent of being able to help cats that are lost. I know it's funny, but what I realized is because I can do long distance healing, because like the work I do, it doesn't have to be physically connected, because having such a strong capacity to love is the love is the conduit. It's almost like you know how like when you have two batteries, you need to have like the a conduit between them, so it's usually metal, or if there's water or something, then they connect. Well, with human beings, we're electrical beings as well. We're energy beings. And what connects us to each other is the conduit, which is the love. So love is like two batteries being in uh, a conducive area together where it just they connect, or the wiring between them. So the love is the wiring between us, and I'm able to like wire into anything, so I can do healing on anything without being physically near them.
That's always impressed me. That's always just, I don't even know how to describe it, to hear that someone can do distant healing. I,
Mm.
I don't think anything will be as valuable and important as we move on from this period. I don't think that the world in general has been more separate
Right.
and stopping their love from so many people. No matter what side you're on, you're stopping your love. A lot of people stopping their love. A lot of people are over loving because they
Mm.
sense.
No, they're not over loving. So here's if you want to get like really kind of like deep and stuff. If you have to pull the love through your endocrine system, you're not actually over loving. You're actually using love as a sugar fix, as an addiction. Love in its pure form isn't a sugar high. When you can love, and okay, here's an example of the pure love is, you know, a couple who've been together forever, they're not always like in a frisky mood or whatever. They're not always saying, oh my love. They just enjoy being together. So they're experiencing that higher love of just understanding what that feels like. And you have that of just being together. That's the higher love. It doesn't have to be pulled through the endocrine system to get a high from it. So that's experience the pure love. So love in the true form is not that sugary fix. So when people are going around trying to fall in love, they're not really in love. They're just looking for a sugar fix. Does that make sense?
Oh, sure, they're looking to get love, to feel an attraction from
Hmm.
another person when they're not really feeding themselves first. And it's real
Right.
obvious to those people that uh, that know this, because one of the things that I'm, as a relationship coach, one of the things that
Mm.
I know is that you have to have something first before you can extend it to somebody else. So
Yeah.
that's the basic foundation 101 to love and relationships, that if you don't love yourself and you're looking to find someone out there to love you and do something for you that you won't do for yourself, it's not going to work. It could work for a week, a month, a year, 2 years. You can get married, the whole route. But it all starts with loving yourself and accepting yourself first. And then once you have that, then you can accept uh, in yourself and offer it to somebody else.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, as someone who spent most of their life not being loved, not having that love, how how do you do that for someone? How do you tell someone, oh, just love yourself? I would get really angry with people who would say that. It's like, if I knew how to do that, of course I would love myself. If that's all it took, I was so deprived, so depleted, I had no reference points. How do you love yourself?
Yes, you certainly don't say to someone, you have to love yourself and leave them there
Oh,
like that.
no, people say it, Bruce.
So, so what I tell people to do is, one of the things I tell people to do is read your book about trees. It may sound funny, but your book about trees turned me on to a whole new world, and I'd like you to explain it, because it changed my life. It
Aw.
connected me to nature, and the more connected to nature you are, the more capacity you have for self-love. So it's not something that someone says, go love yourself. It's experiencing yoga classes, meditation, being around other kind people that are not judgmental, excusing yourself from situations or jobs or places where there's a lot of controversy and uh, people saying things about other people. It's about the continuous attempts to be in a loving, supportive place and surrounding yourself by other loving and supportive people. Which brings me back to where we are in the world right now. And you talked about healing the world, and I'd like to hear your, your way of possibly doing that.
Okay, so I didn't realize how much the spirit guides that I work with. I don't call them my spirit guides because they're there for everybody. Tap into spirit guides. They're there to help you. I didn't realize how much they were keeping me alive. And I didn't realize that I would be doing work that other people wouldn't be doing. I just knew, what I know, and I had no reference points because I didn't have the same social interactions that other people had. But there's been times when the when there was such resistance to me being here. I must be a positive something in the world because there were a lot of instances where life tried to take me out, and even like my mother tried to abort me out. She tried to she drank all through my gestation, and as I'm trying to grow into a little body, she was doing everything trying to figure out how to throw herself downstairs and how to get this being out of her and how to kill me. And so so what I realized is what the resistance that other people feel in life of like someone hating them and resenting them was my understanding of mother's love. So I can take a lot more than other people can take. And so I have this strong fortitude to be calm and stuff. And I haven't really been loved in this lifetime by people, but the trees kept me alive. So there was one Christmas that was really special. I was prepubescent, and it was like I had such a love in me. I was like so happy. And then I went back and I paid attention to what was happening around me. And it's like my brother came to town, my older brother who was grown up, and everyone was happy when he came to town. And I tuned into a place. I was sitting by the tree, and I'm playing out the scenario. Well, he never said 10 words to me my whole childhood. He never talked to me to this day. And everyone else was so happy he came, but he totally ignored me. Everybody ignored me. Everyone was out doing something, having an activity, and I was there alone because nobody wanted me. I wasn't valuable. So I was just sitting there, but with my little crochet thing. I got this little crochet thing for Christmas, and I was sitting there by the tree, and it was a real tree. And there was something on TV and stuff, and the tree was lit up, and I'm just doing my little, and this incredible love was filling me up. And that was my favorite Christmas. And then it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that this tree still had its life force in it. And this tree, even though it was cut down, sacrificed in this shabby little room, it was pouring out. It was pouring all its love into me. It was doing everything it could to make its life worthwhile by pouring its love into me. And I didn't know it till years later that that's why that was such a special Christmas for me. And so there were times in my life when I was like really lonely and really in despair. And lots of times it was the trees that came to me and would keep me alive, literally alive. Because when we were kids, we didn't have a lot of food, and I was hungry. I mean, I couldn't compete for the food the way my brother, who was like, oh, he could eat. So unless I could eat as fast as him, I couldn't get as enough to eat and whatever. So I went to this little park, this lot across from my friend's house, and I was just looking down, and then these strawberries popped up, and it was like, oh, they were edible, good wild strawberries. And the more I looked, the more I swear we'd been in this path so many times, and then there was another strawberry, and then there were all these wild strawberries, and I followed the path of strawberries, and there was this hedge, and there was a line of cherry trees, and these cherry trees, which were like never seen before, nothing by us kids, they were covered in these cherries,
Wow.
and we then every year I had fresh cherries and stuff. And these trees, it was almost like these trees blossomed to keep me alive. And of course, told my brothers and sisters, and then they would like rip down the branches to get the. But the trees didn't mind; they understood. And then there were these hickory nut trees, and they were tons of hickory nuts. So I had all these forms of natural food just in my little suburb area. They were helping, giving me the sustenance of these strong trees and strong nature. Um, so it was this dichotomy of the circumstances in my life. Like I was like, you know, my parents, it was they let me stand up in the front seat of the car. So I would fall out of the I would fall out of the moving car more than once or twice. You think they'd learn not to let me stand up in the front seat, that would happen. So there were things that would happen that would bring me close to like, maybe you won't make it. Getting knocked downstairs a few times, and getting beat up, mugged, hit by a drunk driver. Things in life that were very serious and could have taken me out. They didn't. And the opposite of that was these beautiful, dynamic, spiritual beings, the trees, would come along and feed me. And I wasn't aware of that so much in the earlier times, but their love and protection kept me alive. I
Wow.
know, kind of boring, huh? But
That's perfect. It's just what I was hoping to hear from you, because I know that when I started hugging trees, and everybody makes to make fun of tree huggers, and I would never admit this to anybody else, and I didn't. I'm not going to admit this right now, but one of the first times I hugged a tree, it wasn't a big tree. It was, like this, not one of these big ones. First time I hugged it, it was in an area that really was not traveled by people much. I decided to walk around. And when I hugged that tree, I heard, again, I'm not going to admit that this happened.
no, you
I
don't
heard
have to.
a female voice and a giggle.
Ah,
And a message came into my head that said, no one has ever hugged me before. I didn't
oh.
say that.
Uh,
That's what
no-
happened.
So, can I just tell you why there's such a shame in hugging trees? And it goes back to why people feel so disconnected in the present.
Sure.
So, the modern day genocide that happened, I think, in the 12th centuries, I'm not great on history and stuff, was when people who were like me and like you that could perceive an energy and perceive in trees and did the alternative healing. It wasn't alternative healing back then, it was healing. There was no Western medicine. So, what we did with our intentions and with our herbs and everything was healing. So, so when that kind was prevalent and roamed the earth, we also had the stewardship with the trees. We knew that the trees were sentient beings and we could get wisdom from them. And what happened is when the Crusades came in, the Crusades weren't just about Christianity, the Crusades were about the genocide of the pagan ways. And the pagan ways were alternative medicine, talking to trees. So back then, for thousands of years, if you were known to be a druid or if you had any interaction or connection with trees, you were thought to be, a targeted, and you'd be tortured and killed. So that still lives in our psyche. And so when you're embarrassed to hug a tree, you're actually tapping into a time when it was considered life or death to not talk to a tree.
I always wondered why there was an embarrassment
Mhm.
about it.
Right,
And the other thing I knew was that when I started hugging a tree, I didn't want to just do it for a second and let go.
right.
I wanted to do it. I tried to build up as much time as I could. If it was a couple of minutes, I stopped looking around to see if anybody thought I was nuts. I stopped caring. And I just know that it had a dramatic effect on my nervous system and my spiritual system and my emotional system. And I'm not doing it as much as I used to, but I'm certainly going to
Oh,
go back to it.
okay. So here's the thing: the trees that you have hugged have imprinted on you, so they can help you. You want me to like take you up a notch in your embarrassment level?
Please.
You want to be healed by a tree even more? Give the tree an open mouthed kiss.
Wow.
So share your saliva with the tree. Put your tongue on it. So the tree, there's been scientific studies, I don't know where they are, that a tree, a, oh no, this was part scientific study, and then my guides took over. It's like if you this was done with like little saplings or little seedlings. If you lick them or something and put them in the ground, they you imprint on them and they know you and they can heal you. So
Wow.
I just took it to my guide said, go outside, kiss your trees, and give them an open mouth kiss, which is better than say lick them. So give them an open mouth kiss and share your DNA with them. And once they get a sense of your DNA, they can go into your patterns and they can fix things, kind of like I can see things in people's patterns and fix them with my intentions. Well, if I can move people's energy around with my intentions, trees wouldn't mind doing that as well. Oh, someone who's listening to this has a question and they're kind of cynical and they're saying to themselves, well, I don't know. I've never had any tree talk to me. And they're like really cynical. And so, can I answer that question?
Please.
So because we know about social media, we can understand the dynamics of trees better. Trees are like the human body in the way that a teenager on the internet is a human body. Try to get a teenager who's enthralled in the internet to talk to you or interact with you. He won't, because it's like he won't. He's just too enthralled with what he does. So a tree, when they're not engaged with the humans, they're so deep into the social media of their root system and their community of trees and the earth, they're not paying attention. You're nothing to them if you don't interact with them, so they just seem to just exist here. But the more and more, and that person who's saying, well, my trees don't talk to me, go make a point of it. Go sit with the tree. Go make yourself known. Go validate the tree. Go let the tree know that you're open to talking to them. And then when you put that effort in, they'll like put down their mouse or whatever. They'll put down their social media. They'll come back to the surface and they'll talk to you. You know how I learned that?
No, how?
Okay, so I had 1 year I had 400 baby saplings that I collected because to me it's a desecration when I see these baby saplings laying around the mother tree and I know they're just going to get mowed up or they're not going to be able to. And it's like I like to give them a chance. So so I'll collect them and until I can find a place, I'll put them in little pots until I can find a place to like move them so they can have a chance. Well, 1 year I was living in this 1 bedroom little apartment with this little porch. It had like a outside porch on it, my own private porch. And I had started collecting these little cherry trees. My sister's house had this cherry tree, and all these little cherry saplings were growing. And trees love their children just as much as humans do, if not more. And they get discouraged that none of their trees get to like their babies. So this tree was asking me, can you like give my babies chances? So I was collecting all these trees and I had a maples and they would pop out of nowhere. And I was in um this this shopping strip and all these poplar trees would be shown to me. And they would call out to me and say, come rescue us. We want to be part of your forest. So I wanted to grow this forest. So I had 400 trees. And then comes to find out, of course, the apartment complex was going to renovate and they needed me to empty up my my porch so I didn't have any trees there. What was I going to do with them? You know, it was going to be winter. I had no place to put them. So I pulled them all into my kitchen. My kitchen became like huge bookshelves with all these little saplings in it, 400. I got all these night lights and all this watering system, and it was the best thing. I had all these little baby trees, and they would talk to me and stuff, and I would give them water, and I was doing the best I could. I played music for them, and of course, they had preferences. They liked classical music, but they liked Mozart better than Bach.
Ah,
It was so cute. So I would play their music, and they'd like me to sit with them and sing to them. And when I went to bed at night, it was like tucking all these little babies were out there in the kitchen, but they were tucking me in as well. It was the most loved maybe a human could feel. So then from their concerted efforts, I found this little home that I live in now. It's like it's a miracle because it should be a lot more expensive, but I found this freestanding little home with some land out the back. And I was able to move into this land and with my trees, and I got some of them and we're able to put them in the ground. But a lot of them didn't make it here. And what they told my sister, see, I teach everybody around me to talk to trees, animals, and inanimate objects as well. Because if I can do it, you can do it. So they told my sister that their effort was to get me into the house and to help me move. So their intention was to help me. And so I planted as many that was left in the backyard. And I thought it would be really great. I'm gonna put them in the ground. They can like be free and everything. And I thought they would just sit there and gush with me. And I put them in the ground, and it was such an empty feeling. And I was like, wow, that was anticlimactic. I feel nothing from them. And then I felt one little sapling run back. Like what happened is when you put them in the ground, the trees ran into the earth, they ran into the rooting system, and they could meet all their friends in the ground through the social networking of trees. And they all ran away. But one little sapling realized how sad I was, and it ran back as an afterthought and said, wait, don't be sad that we're not giving you that love. We're just so excited to be in the ground. We're so grateful to be reunited. It's like a party, and we don't want to miss it. We're not trying to reject you. We're just so happy and thank you. And they gave me an understanding of the dynamics of how that works.
wow,
Isn't that cool?
that is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you look behind me right now, uh, this background is from one of the halls from a place called Damanhur.
Mm-hmm.
And Damanhur is a spiritual eco community in the foothills of the Italian Alps. And you can go to damanhur.org, DAMANHUR.org, to learn more about it. But at this place, we stayed there for 3 months back in 2011. And they have created technology to communicate with plants. And they apply electronic nodes to the leaves and to the base, and the plants play music. It's phenomenal. I have I was one of the first people that they allowed to videotape it, and I think my videos have any like a 500,000 people have seen the Damanhur music videos. It's beautiful, beautiful music. And so, you know, I got my introduction to the communication with plants and trees back then.
So here's the thing that do you realize the reason that place is so spiritual is because of the trees? And the trees are the ones doing the healing. If you tune into those trees, the music is nice, yes, that's beautiful, but they're ready. Tune in. If anyone wants to talk to the trees, talk to the trees that are right there behind you. And the trees will tell you and show you the layering and layering of what they've taken off people, and they'll tell you the history of the people and how they survived in the hungry years. And you know how trees have rings in them?
Yes.
People don't really understand what the rings are. So when humans have pain, trees take in that. They don't only exchange oxygen with carbon dioxide, they take our carbon dioxide and exchange it with oxygen so we can breathe. They're doing more than that. They're pulling out our stagnant energy. They're pulling out our pain, our emotional issues, and they're returning it with clarity and love. So the rings that you see in the tree is actually how much it's evidence of the pain they've pulled out of those around them to help with the healing.
Well, I think a lot more people are going to be looking at trees in a completely different way from this point forward. Whoever's watching this video,
Mm.
they're getting quite a bit of information about the role that nature plays and how important it is. And your book, and I'm going to show the book uh, to people so that they can find it. You have written other books. Where can people? How can people get in touch with you? And where can they find your
Oh.
books?
You know, what's funny is I'm still at this point, I am still for a while now, still doing private sessions. So if people would want to experience a private session with me, this is the time to do it. Because I don't know how long, much longer I'm going to be doing that. But
Wow.
I know, I know. Um, but I know I'm still supposed to help people in that way. Um, my website is Genuine Healing with a J, JENUINE healing.com. And the tree book is great. But most of my books are a form of self-help. They teach the individual how to be their own dynamic healer, how to remove all those blockages in themselves so they can open up to their own empowerment. See, in past times, when someone got a clue of what was going on, they would write about it as if they were the only one that was special. That's not fair to say, but that's an overgeneralization. But the upgrade in society, the upgrade now is like there's so many people tapping into truth now through the inner channels that everyone's becoming their own dynamic healer. You don't have to ascribe to someone else. You can um, you can have the spirit guides assist you, but you are your own dynamic healer. But the thing is, the upgrade is not to like try to accrue followers or to accrue people to buoy your ego or sense of self. It's all about perpetuating that into the collective. So anything that I discover or know, I will download it into people. Literally, if two smartphones can touch and share information, how much more can two human beings do? So everyone I do a session with, everyone I work with, it's like a hookup. It's like giving them everything that I do so that we don't need it to just live or die by one little human. So there was a poem that I wrote that was in the Chicken Soup series that, and it was downloaded into me by a tree that I helped. Can I just tell the story real?
Sure. Sure.
So I lived in this apartment and there was a row of trees and at the end there was one covered with vines and everything. And I would walk past it with my dog and we would walk down these trees and that was our little piece of nature and into this empty lot, which was between two businesses. But it was our little piece of nature. And then I saw these orange markings on some of the trees and I didn't know what was going on and everything. And but this one tree at the end, this maple tree, was covered with vines, and it would say, psst, psst, and it called me over. I don't know, you know, that sounds silly, but it called me over, and it says, "Help me get these vines off of me." Well, it was right there. It was a business area, so I felt embarrassed, but I actually bought a huge pair of clippers, and I started working at night a little bit and getting some of the vines away. And then it said, do more, and get all these vines away from me. And it had garbage built up around it, and it had this logs and all these dead bushes around, out these thorn bushes around it. And in the winter, it actually instructed me, said, because I couldn't get near it because there was so many thorns and everything. It said, stand up, wait till the snow gets deep, stand up on it and get up higher, get it all down. And so I worked this thing all half of a year to get this thing, and then there were bushes around it and everything, thorns, and I built it away, and it was like it was almost dying, but it really wanted to live. So I got it a lot of it away. And there was thorn bushes that I cut down too, so they looked like they were separate away and stuff. And then I went away for a retreat for a weekend. When I came back, I was horrified. All the trees were cut down in my grove. All of them were cut down, except the one I helped. Because if I would have left it there with the vines on it, they wouldn't have taken the time to help it. But because it looked salvageable and it was a younger tree, it wasn't as old as the other ones, they kept it. And
Wow.
they pulled up all the stumps, they they grassed it up, and then they planted trees over it, little trees they could control. And this one little tree is now huge, and it took it a couple years to really thrive. And then one day I was getting out of the car and just looking how awesome it was that this tree survived. And yeah, I did that. And I felt this energy behind me that felt like 30, 40 feet tall. It felt like someone behind me, but it was this big energy. And then as I felt that energy in behind me, like hovering behind me, this poem was downloaded into me. It was called One Little Human. One Little Human, what they're capable of doing. And I wrote it down, and I actually submitted it to the Chicken Soup for the Soul Volunteering and Giving Back. It was the first thing I got published on social media. It was back when Pope Francis just became the new pope, and he liked it on his Facebook page.
Hmm.
And after that was published, I actually was able to get all my other books out. So I got like 19 books out there just because this tree had encouraged. I never got encouragement from any humans, but this tree said, wow, your writing's pretty good. You can do this. And the tree gave me that encouragement that you would get from a parent.
Wow. Wow. So,
Oh,
go ahead.
oh,
Sure.
sorry. So on my website, there's this protocol that my spirit guides helped me create. It's called the SFT. It's spiritual freedom tapping. Ooh. So maybe I should lead you through this so people can know how it's done.
Sure.
Okay. So, mm, 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 so when I make these noises, it's just moving stagnant energy. I don't have to do it. It's not as healthy for me. It's just habit and stuff. So what happens is they showed me all the things in a dynamic. They first did it like if you had this stalker or this ex that was bothering you, why is this person bothering you? Well, energetically, you're not separate from them. Energetically, you have some of their stuff and they have some of your stuff, and they're trying to get it back. So the energetic cleanse was a way, all these taps, you tap on the head and you're directing your brain, which is the super 3D printer that manifests anything that you put into it. Your your brain manifests everything you tell it to. So you tap it to tell the brain, this is what I want you to put your priority on. This goes, it has a whole list, because when you breathe, your body scans your brain scans your body to see what is out of sync, and then it fixes it through the breath. But you have such a long laundry list that it doesn't get to everything. So you prioritize and say, okay, I'm having trouble breathing. Do this one. Or I want to get rid of that person. And it prioritizes. And then you put that manifestation at the top of the list. And the fact that you're doing it consciously is just makes it more intense. So
Wow.
you put the programming in your brain. and then you set it in your body, just like an old Timex, where you would set the time and then you would turn the time and then you'd set it. So this is changing the directive and then setting it in the body. So, and then at first it was just very tangible things. The first set of tabs that the spirit guides gave me, and I was friends with the people who were still going to this other guy who used EFT tapping, which is emotional freedom technique, and which is great. It's very effective, but there's so much more to people than just their emotional body. There's their causal body, their mental bodies, their etheric bodies. So, the spiritual freedom technique works on all those levels, not just what's emotional in your physical best interest, right? Because a lot of us want to get done with it. We want to get through the karma and the issues and just get to being the divine being that we were meant to be. So the spirit guides gave me this protocol of removing all vows and agreements and all the karmic bonds, all the tentacles, even the stagnant energy that people call it as exorcisms. It's just stagnant energy that has a negative persona at some point. All right. So I can see I'm tiring you out. So if
No,
I'm
no, no.
tiring you out,
I'm fine. I'm fine.
I know. But if I'm tiring you out, I'm tiring other people out. So let's just do it. So we want people to be able to tap into their most dynamic self,
And this
right?
is a great healing utensil tool to help
Mhm.
heal the world right now.
Yes, because I found out earlier when I did a session for one person, I was doing it, they were a surrogate for tens of thousands of people. That's why I started doing it for humanity, because when I found out I could make these huge shifts in individuals, my spirit guide said, well, what you can do for one person, you can do for 7 billion. So I was doing it all at once. And this is how I've stretched my abilities, is by never focusing on just the one person. It's always focusing on all the humans. And so with this tapping, when people are doing this along with us, they'll be helping others and they'll get it osmosis, because as we get rid of these big, thick, heavy issues in the individuals, it clears up the blockages to us being collectively connected. It's almost like taking the tape off of your batteries that prevents you from being a conduit to other batteries. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this dynamic tap for others. And so all blockages to me being my dynamic self. No, people want to live their purpose. All blockages to live in my highest purpose are removed in all moments. All blockages
All blockages
to live in my highest purpose
to living my highest purpose,
are removed,
I removed,
are removed
are removed
in all moments.
in all moments.
All blockages
All blockages
to living my highest
to
purpose
living my highest purpose,
are removed.
I remove,
No, are
are
removed
removed
in all moments.
in all moments.
All blockages
All blockages
to living my highest purpose
to living my highest purpose
are removed
are removed
in all moments.
in all moments.
All blockages
All blockages
to living my highest purpose
to living my highest purpose
are removed
are removed
in all moments.
in all moments.
Good. Take a deep breath. Now notice how you couldn't quite get it, and you're a very intelligent man. That's the ego trying to prevent you from shifting, because the ego doesn't want to shift. It wants the pain, it wants the drama, because it makes it feel alive. There's so many people out there right now who are afraid of dying. That fear of dying is actually a gauge that your higher self is being reborn and the ego is actually dying. So it's actually not a bad thing when someone thinks that they are dying. They just have to understand what's happening, if that makes sense. Lots of people who come to me in their spiritual paths and they're ready to make a breakthrough, or they're about to take an initiation, or they know they're expanding, they'll also have this feeling that they're going to die. And there's the ego, there's the death of the ego. And it's a good thing.
Well, I think this was absolutely fantastic. Uh, I just have a feeling that we've just scratched the surface in the work that we can do together and the work that you can do. So, any final thoughts? Again, tell people about your website. And this is a very, very special moment in time
Yeah.
where Jen is saying that she has some time now to do
Yeah.
one-on-one private healing sessions. And I would tell them how to get to you as fast as they can before this
Yeah.
their whole schedule fills up.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yes. So, and by the way, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of sessions. One session with me is I give you homework to, like, when I used to do one session, it used to be taking someone through the tapping protocol, which now I wrote out so anybody can do it. So when you do a session with me, it's kind of like doing 30 or 40 or 50 sessions with me, because I'll give you the homework and teach you how to do it for yourself. So you don't have to keep running back um, a lot of times to get your needs met. You are your own spirit guide. So it's really important. Genuinehealing.com with a J. There's books, all self-help books. There's SFT worksheets which you can work with. And if you can get a session with me, I mean, I've been told that they're life changing. I've been told actually that a session with me, a private session, is by far better than 100 therapy sessions.
Oh, I definitely believe that because we know how limiting, the therapy is, and but to have
Well,
a full body healing with you, I look forward to doing it, and I know my
mhm.
wife will look forward to doing it. So I want to thank you again. What a wonderful show, and I think we'll be doing some more work together because we're going to be coming into a world of tremendous change, and this world is going to need good healers, good teachers to help get them back on track.
So the thing that I would tell people is, like, people think this is a scary time, right? They don't realize that they have been, or humanity has been waiting so long for everything to align that's aligning right now. This is the most exciting time. This is what we've been working towards. It's not scary in that way. It's we're actually shifting consciousness right now, and we're moving out of this apathetic state, and part of that is being angry. So many people are angry, but anger is higher on the survival scale. Anger comes before peace. So instead of getting frustrated and reverting back into the fear, move through the anger into the peace, people. It's and be kind and loving and ethical, and that will upgrade things more than commiserating. Stop the commiserating, it doesn't help.
Right. That's our job is to keep our energy up, stay positive, and know
Yep.
that there is going to be a beautiful end of a story here that people's lives are going to be changing for the better. This is a very, very exciting time. And Jen Ward, thank you so much for being on the show. And listen, let's do more shows together because the more people that we can help and heal, the better this world is going to be.
Can I just say that you're really good at what you do? You're a fantastic interviewer, and you don't get in the way. Like, lots of times people don't know what to say. Um, the interviewer, and you can feel their insecurities or their egos, but you're just such a pure channel. I can see why this is your purpose. So
Well,
thank you.
thank you very, very much, and
Mhm.
it warms my heart. And to hear that from somebody like you is just what I need to hear today. So again, everybody, you'll be seeing more shows with Jen and I hope you got a lot out of this. I sure did, just
Mhm.
being here. So you're watching Transition, the number 2Greatness.net show, and we will be back with more shows. Bye bye, everybody. Bye, Jen.
Well, bye. Thank you. Bye.